Good afternoon. You're listening to Radyo Kapwa, where all Filipinos are Filipino enough.
You're listening to 90.3 CKUT FM.
Mabuhay everyone! My name is Veronica, one of the hosts of this Radyo Kapwa broadcasting. Nakikinig po kayo sa Radyo Kapwa. How's everyone doing? We have had our second episode just last week and it went well. There was a lot of feelings behind it. I'm still going through the whole feelings of the Pride event being canceled as a queer Filipino myself. There was a lot of response of support. We went to the park as well and we met so much more people. One of the big organizer for a Black queer-led organization actually came up to our spot because they recognized our Filipino flag because we follow each other on YouTube and they were like, oh, I saw the flag, so I knew it was you. And I'm like, oh, thanks for coming. And they were also interviewed by CBC, the one that France you posted earlier. They were interviewed about well, fuck it, we're doing our own, and a lot of people just passed on their location on Parc La Fontaine, and everyone just gathered in there. And I like the fact that some other queer folks as well went by literally with like a grocery cart holding water bottles, be like, we're coming in here to give water bottles for everyone. I'm like, yeah, this is what we do. We provide like our primary needs. Like we need water. Like it was really, really hot. I have frozen water bottles, was gone. Was still so thirsty, but it went great. It rained and we're like, nah, Mother Nature, thanks for all of this water. It was really hot. We didn't even move. We didn't even bother moving. Like I just moved my banig a little bit closer to the trees, and I'm like, let the nature protect us a bit for the water, and that's pretty much it. So, overall, I got a good day and I got a good week. There's still digesting. I haven't posted any Pride pictures because I don't know what to say. I was just like overwhelmed with it. But how's everyone's week, Franz?
Doing well. Thank you so much for that. I'm so happy to hear that despite the cancellation, the community was able to get together and still celebrate and just show that, like the system's kind of broken. So we take care of each other. That's what it is, right? We take care of each other. Nice to see you, Des.
Hi everybody, and hi everybody that's listening. Desiree here. I just wanted to say thank you to all of our queer Kapwa that were on our show last week, sharing their feelings and their thoughts and their frustration after the cancellation. So I just wanted to shout them out again and thank them for being on the show. And similar to France, I'm just so happy that there were celebrations and there were connections that were made throughout the day despite all of that craziness that happened.
Great. So before we go on and move to our show, I just want to, we came up with this icebreaker questions just so that other listeners as well can relate to our discussions. So I want to open a question about everyone's karaoke song, right? We Filipinos, we love to sing. We literally just talked about like we need to have several mute mics because everyone just would wanna sing. And I can start with myself, and I literally just sing it. And I'm like, what's your karaoke song? And I would say, parang di ko yata kaya kung sa buhay ko'y wala ka. Aanhin ng pag-ibig. That's Jessa Saragosa. Bakit pa? Mom would be proud of me.
I love it. I love it. Oh my God. Okay, I can go with, I don't think I have one karaoke song. How can you ask us for one karaoke song? Like there's so many, when you first asked me, I was like, anything Whitney Houston. And then I was like, no, wait, anything Spice Girls or anything. And then as you sang and serenaded us, Veho, I was like, Frank Sinatra, because I used to come home and my dad would be alone in our living room with his tiny little karaoke machine singing Frank Sinatra. So I don't have a specific song, but anything Frank Sinatra makes my heart happy.
I love that so much. You totally answered my question, Des. That was the same for me. I was like, again, how can I pick one song? But the first thing that came to me was like basically anything Whitney. Us as Filipinos, we know we love the power ballads. We know we love to like sing things that come from like deep in the gut, right? So like, I'm your baby tonight. My love is your love. I want to dance with somebody. I mean, like, how do you not like jump into that, right? So I love that. We're also going to poke Coke, our wonderful sound engineer right now, Laura. She is wonderful. She is always here, always in the background. But we like to hear from her too. So what's your favorite karaoke song, Laura?
Well, you were right. The power ballads are everything. So I actually pick every time I karaoke, I pick Hero by Mariah Carey. And then I always try to slip in the My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion.
I love it. I love it. Oh, and there's Endless Love. Endless Love. Can't go. Endless Love or I Will Always Love You, Whitney Houston. Come on.
And what's the Dolly Parton one? Emerging something islands or something like that. It was in the Jokoy movie and everyone was singing it, and I was like, my mom and my dad beside me were just like vibing to it. So like you said, France, it's like we Filipinos, we're so madamdamin, right? So we use this as an outlet to like let it out and like get through our feelings, because we can't handle our feelings. But we will be talking about this in our future broadcasting, like how do we deal with our feelings, right? I personally would want to know about this because I can't handle my feelings, but that's just me. So before we start, I want to play you a song by Ben and Ben, a Filipino rock music based in the Philippines, called Ride Home, because it feels like we're riding home back to our homeland. So c'est parti.
To the place where you and I were supposed to meet. The city owns the echo on, my thoughts are spinning on and on my head. It seems they lead me back to you. I keep coming back to you. Took a morning ride, found a place up in my mind no one else can see. Maybe it's fate that we lose control. In circles around we go. We become who we ought to know. We just gotta let it go. We just gotta let it go. So I'm coming home to you. All behind, for with you is where I want to be. Maybe it's fate that we can control. Go round and around it goes. And all that we seem to know, we just gotta let it go. We just gotta let it go. So I'm coming home to you. found my way home. I 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 found my way home. So I'm coming home to you. You're all I need, the very air I breathe. Oh, 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 oh. Coming home to you. You're all I need, the very air I breathe. You are home.
All right, for those who just tuned in, it's 90.3 CKUT FM. Yung nakikinig po kayo sa Radyo Kapwa. That was Ride Home by Ben and Ben. Okay, John Marvin, what do you got for us today to talk about the homeland? C'est parti pour toi.
Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Marvin Reyes, a youth leader and a community organizer here bringing you important news back home in the Philippines. To be different for this week's news, we are going to talk about Philippine entertainment and celebrities. Liza Soperano, a famous actress in the Philippines, gives pride to the country for her first participation in Hollywood. The article is from Rappler with the title, "It's True, Liza Soberano joins cast of Hollywood film Lisa Frankenstein." The Filipina actress will be making her big Hollywood debut alongside stars Cole Sprouse and Catherine Newton. The rumors are true. Filipino actress Liza Soberano has confirmed that she will be working alongside Hollywood stars Cole Sprouse and Catherine Newton in Focus Features' upcoming Hollywood horror comedy feature, Lisa Frankenstein. Liza confirmed her involvement in the project on Friday, August 12, reposting an article published by Deadline with a caption, "Ecstatic to be part of this film." Her American co-star Catherine, who is known for her roles in The Society and Big Little Lies, took to the comments and replied, "I'm ecstatic you're part of the film." Speculations of Liza's Hollywood debut were spurred when JSLA Events Jesse Strafford tagged Liza and her management team in an Instagram story on Tuesday, August 9th. It was a repost of some images that Catherine uploaded during their first day of filming. "Sending you and your team all the amazing energy to kill this film," Jessie wrote in her caption. Eagle-eyed fans were quick to spot the implication that Liza would play in a part of the film. Liza and her other co-star, Riverdale star Cole Sprouse, also follow each other on Instagram. Lisa Frankenstein tells the story of a typical high school student portrayed by Catherine, who, through a series of chance encounters, accidentally reanimated a handsome Victorian corpse portrayed by Cole. She then decided to use this opportunity to create the man of her dreams with the unknowing corpse as her blank canvas. The Haunting of Bly Manor's Carla Gugino, The Crowded Room's Henry Eikenberry, and Stranger Things' Joe Charest are also part of the film's roster of stars. Behind the scenes, Tony Award winner Diablo Cody serves as a scripts writer, while actor-filmmaker Zelda Williams is directing the film. Liza has been very busy with several projects lately. In 2001, she shifted management and signed under James Reid Careless Music, and since then, Liza has appeared more frequently in the international celebrity scene. She and James were spotted partying with Bella Poarch and Bretman Rock during the latter's 24th birthday, and even attended the Gold Gala in Los Angeles with James. The duo even infiltrated with the K-pop world with dance collabs with Jay Park, Eakins DK, and Winners Huni. The Tracy star also recently guested on a South Korean TV show. The 24-year-old actress rose to fame in the Philippines for her iconic roles in Dulce Amore, Bagani, My Ex and Wise, and Alone Together with on and off screen partner Enrique Hill. She also lent her voice to the titular protagonist of Netflix 2021 animated feature Trece. The article is written by a Rappler intern Bea Bertuldo in August 12, 2022. Thank you so much for listening. Maraming salamat sa pakikinig. Once again, this is John Marvin Reyes delivering you Philippine news from abroad.
And now I'm introducing you to Abby, who will be sharing with us a local news piece. Mic is yours, Abby.
Good afternoon, Kapwa. It's Abby back at it again with another local news. So last week, I reported about the Pride Parade cancellation that was supposed to be held on August 7th of 2022. So for this week's update, an article from City News Everywhere titled Montreal Requests Independent Investigation into Pride Parade Cancellation Festival Launches Internal Probe was actually requested by the Mayor Valerie Plante, who met with the festival organizers on Monday. Probe will aim to shed more light on what led to abrupt the cancellation of the event. So we will get more answers soon, which I'll probably report next week. But there's an investigation going on and we deserve some answers because this is very confusing and frustrating for so many of us. But another news for this week, according to City News as well, an article titled Judge Suspends 2 Article of Quebec's New Language Law Regarding Legal Translations. A Quebec Superior Court judge has temporarily suspended 2 articles of the province's new language law, saying they could prevent some English-speaking organizations from accessing justice through the courts. Justice Chantal Corriveau has ruled the sections of Bill 96 that require corporations to pay a certified translator to produce French versions of legal documents should be suspended until the court challenge can be heard on its merits. A group of lawyers challenging the sections of the law argued that the translation requirement may lead to cost and delays that could deter some small and medium-sized entities that operate in English from accessing the courts. Corriveau agreed that the group raised questions about whether that part of the law violates sections of the 1867 Constitution Act that guarantee access to the courts in both official languages. The lawyers are one of the several groups mounting legal challenges to Bill 96, which aims to strengthen the use of French through updated language regulations that affect businesses, junior colleges, immigration, and the courts. The law, which was adopted earlier this year, proactively invokes the non-withstanding clause of the Canadian Constitution to shield it from charter challenges. So hopefully by next week's news, we will get some updates from the Pride Parade and more updates about the Bill 96. So this is Abby reporting your local news. Have a great rest of your day.
So the next song you're going to be listening to is kind of an anthem here at Radyo Kapwa, and it's called Panalo, and it's the Tagalog word for to be winning. And we love it here, and every time we hear it, we dance. And like I said, it's really our anthem just because we feel like there are so many Kapwa rising around us. So Panalo by Easy Mill.
Like they said, though, you can take a man out the hood, but you can't take the hood out of man. Mga kababayan! Turn up! Tayo'y Pilipino, kahit anong kulay ng balat, isa sa puso, mapatagalong Bisaya o Ilocano, walang tatalo sa pagsik ng ating tubo. Isigaw ng malakas ang ating panalo, huwag nang pag-usapan ng mga negatibong pangyayari sa mampaligana sa mundo. Kinabukasan na natin to. Yeah. Keep one in your mouth when you're lying and stay on my business or watch you dying. I'm taking my people to heights where you crying, but regular living it, that's what I'm trying to prove. Instead of just lying and booze. First true Filipino rapper on the news. Sit enjoy it if you're cool. Haters can snooze while I put my city on the map. 22 double O, Longable City, no cap. Never forgetting the street where my cousin would sit when we always just listen to rap. Kendrick, M and ASAP with some metal and mammy, we turn up with that. Been mundane till the sun came, now we want fame like a kid in a trap. Hey, I've been in Spain, but the letter S is silent. I'm claiming my reign like a king so I can water crops for surviving. Go away if you trippin'. Had a homie, he was crippin'. Ain't got no love for the people who talk over songs when they claiming they listen. These bars never done, 3 stars in the sun. Ay, blue and red draped down on a flag, no we never fear none. Most of us didn't grow up with a trust fund, know that I'm willing to kill for a loved one. I'm on the move from nothing to someone, reminding my people to shout. Tayo ay Pilipino, kahit anong kulay ng balat, isa sa puso. Mapatagalong Bisaya o Ilocano, walang tatalo sa pagsik ng ating tubo. Isigaw ng malakas ang ating panalo, huwag nang pag-usapan ng mga negatibong pangyayari sa mga paningkana sa mundo. Kinabukasan na natin to. Hey, kung inakala mong isang lingwahe lang kaya gamitin ni Easy, may laka mapapala kung ganyan ka mag-isip. Kay bathala ka sisingil utang na galing sa loob na lumutang, hinain sa turon na may pusang sinaing sa... Ano? Ilocano. Okay. Uray mo nga ipagkakinyayo, ti o kinayo, di tuyak lang nagururay no sinuti ang tayo. Tatlo isang sangitam akin, ti wagas mo nga payong at tahan kaya itong nga patayang gakan nato'y payong. Si kayo nga ang amin, lahat kayo, all of you. Ever since bata ako, I've been kinda discriminated in my own home country. Sure, some will be like, oh, puti-puti mo, tisoy. I ain't tisoy, I'm Pinoy. And I swear that nobody will ever look at me the same way again. I'll make it to the top while I'll be showing their sins. And nanalo na ako, namula ko nung pinugutan sila po sa baktan. Lahat na nasaktan na nalaman nila na pinatay ang kanilang bayani sa karagatan ng bansa ng pag-aari ng Pilipino. Despite any turmoil, I'll be proud of my soil. Bakit? Kasi tayo ay Pilipino, kahit anong kulay ng balat, isa sa puso. Mapatagalong Bisaya o Ilocano, walang tatalo sa pagsik ng ating tubo. Isigaw ng malakas ang ating panalo, huwag nang pag-usapan ng mga negatibo pangyayari sa mga paningkana sa mundo. Kinabukasan na natin to.
So you just heard Panalo by Easy Mill, which is more or less the anthem here at Radio Kapwa.
So now we're about to listen to Joe Bataan, who was born Bataan Mitolano and grew up in New York. He is known for Latin soul, but his father was Filipino and his mother was African American. So you're about to listen to Joe Bataan, Afro-Filipino, Ordinary Guy.
I don't drive a beautiful car, and I don't own an elegant home. I don't have thousands to spend, or a seaside cottage for the weekend. I'm just an ordinary guy, Afro-Filipino, average sort of guy. That's what I am, ordinary man you left behind. Exclusive nightclubs are right to start with me, 'cause I don't associate with high society. I don't hang around playboy millionaires. I'm just an ordinary guy you left behind. Ordinary guy, Afro-Filipino, average sort of guy. Ordinary guy, Afro-Filipino, average sort of guy. That's what I am, ordinary man you left behind. Taxis about psychology. My degrees are in streetology. Ordinary, ordinary guy. Afro-Filipino, average sort of guy. Salsa! A gozar.
Welcome to Quick Career Minute, hosted by your Ate Aleli. I'm the founder of The Informal and your first-generation professional career mentor. In the job search, first impressions count, but don't underestimate the power of lasting impressions. After each interview, don't forget to send a follow-up thank you email within 24 hours. Make sure to include a positive comment about the team or organization to show your value alignment, a reminder of why the role helps you reach your career goals, and ask for any next steps to show your proactiveness. For more career advice, you can find me on Instagram at _theinformal or visit theinformal.ca.
Welcome back, everyone, to Radyo Kapwa CKUT 90.3 FM. So happy to have you with us today. Really excited to be welcoming Jacqueline Aquines, my sister Jax. She's with us today. We're going to be talking about this amazing work she put together called Home is in the Body. But before we get to that, Jax, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Yes. My name is Jacqueline Gallos Aquines, she, her, they, them pronouns. I was born in Jojok, unceded territory of the Kanien'kehá:ka. Mostly lived in the past 12 years in Treaty 7, Mohkinstsis, home of the Nississipi, the Tsuut'ina, and the Stoney Nakoda, and Alberta Settlement 3 of the Métis. And now I am living in Toronto, Treaties 13, and I am just connecting with the land and learning about where I'm situated. And I guess my background is, well, right now I'm part of the Cultural Instigators still, that is funded but not led by the Calgary Arts Development Authority, a group of 10 artists and activists disrupting systemic barriers in Treaty 7. And I'm also a consultant, an organizational change consultant as well. And then now here to start my master's at York in the fall.
Love it. I'm all for Pinay's accessing higher education. Let's do it. Lift while we climb, right? Lift while we climb. So by the time this episode airs, we usually air Wednesdays, 2 to 3 p.m. Basically, when this airs, the next day, we're going to be together. We're going to be together celebrating this amazing book you put together. So do you want to tell us first, I guess, what inspired you to put this book together? Where did it kind of start? How did this all start to begin with?
Thanks for having me. First of all, I didn't get to say that. Yeah, connecting Kapwa is always a joy for me. Yeah, that's part of why this project came about. I was always having conversations with Filipinx people who were so deeply interested in seeing more representation in whether it's in film, TV, media, publication. And then I was working with a good friend, Sudagi Black, who I worked with in the Treaty 7 Film Collective. And she put together a project called The Revitalization is Real in 2018, where I was honored to take the photographs for her. And seeing these beautiful, strong, powerful, young Indigenous youth from Treaty 7, like in a case of like on a wall, publicly displayed with stories to be shared of resilience and revitalization of a culture that has survived so much. I was like, where are we? Where's our Filipinx peoples? So I think I've always struggled with finding representation in the world around me, growing up in Southwest Moquistas, Calgary, a very predominantly white neighborhood, and never really knowing like where I fit in. Even when I went to the Philippines for university, a semester there, that was an amazing time for me to see myself, see so many people who were thought like me as well. At the same time, I still felt like a big Canadian. So I coming back, I lived in the States for a bit, but I always wanted to see more representation. Representation isn't just about seeing, but it's also about hearing our stories. It's about seeing our narratives and hearing our narratives from our perspectives, written by us. And that's why I am continuing on writing more content, like writing a musical, and connecting with other content creators like you, and I'm always interested in seeing more content by Filipinx and diasporic, because it's a very specific lens that I think, there's disparity in our experiences with first gens or folks from in the homeland currently. So I think this project came from a need to see it, a need to hear stories from us, and specifically from queer Filipinx femmes, because I think there's a lot more representation written from a lens that might not necessarily be from us, or maybe perpetuating certain narratives that may not offer the dynamic spectrum that we so very much represent.
And what's so interesting with this process too, Jax, right, is a similar quest that you and I had is what kind of made our paths converge, right? So basically, there is this Filipino academic book called Pinay Power, and it is about Filipina American feminisms. And while it is a Filipina American book, a lot of us Filipinas who were in academia kind of looking out for our own references and our own resources and having a hard time finding it, that anthology was kind of our first, right? And then what happened after is there was a random call podcast between Monica Batak, Jacqueline Aquines, who is here with us today, Jillian Sudayan, and Carla Villanueva. Danan, am I forgetting anyone who was on that call, or that was the four? It was a Facebook Live. I'm like, my memory's jogging now. It was a Facebook Live, and then Melinda jumped on. Isn't that what happened? Or something like that, or messaged or something. But basically, Melinda de Jesus is the editor of Pinay Power, and was like, on this call, everyone was like, we should organize a conference. We should all get together. A lot of us want to talk about this, about Filipinx feminism, all of these kind of issues, all these social justice issues. And from that random spotty recording that the four of you had, Monica Batak and I moved forward and actually organized this conference, right? So in 2019 at McGill University, we had the Pinay Power 2 Feminisms in the Diaspora conference. It was over 4 days, full 4 days. I would say approximately 300 Filipinas from across the world kind of came, and we did so many fun things and talked about so many things. And this is exactly where my path with Jax converged, because I was told there's this cool Kapwa in Calgary who was getting funding from the Calgary Arts Council and wanted to kind of interview and take pictures of people at the conference. So we set Jax up with like a little corner, a little booth, and yeah. What happened after that, Jax?
Yeah, tell us more about the process, Jax. I'd love to learn, like, what was the process of creating Home is in the Body?
Yeah, this would never have happened without Monica and Carla and France, like instrumentally, quickly writing letters of reference and invitations to get this grant happening with Calgary Arts Development Authority. Thank you so much, Kata. And it was just an idea that quickly became like went to paper and submitted. They have a grant that was intentionally to, an equity grant that was, meant to disrupt the bypass a lot of the processes that usual grant processes are play out with time and delay. So yeah, then I booked all the gear in Montreal from Lizo, dragged it out in the rain, was bugging France very late, but she was exhausted and pregnant. You were hardcore.
In my defense, I did not know I was pregnant. I don't know if I would have been lifting and lugging things through construction and rain to set all of this up if I had known I was pregnant.
Yeah, and you're like, I've been waiting for you for like 3 hours because I was still shooting in the hotel room because I set up 2 sets, one in the hotel room and then moved it to the space where everything happened for Pinay Power 2. And people signed up. People wanted to participate, and so thankful. This would not have happened without all the conference one and the enthusiasm to sign up. And yeah, I'm so grateful for that. And Carla Dannon, Patty Abuel also helped out on set. Yeah, it was very hectic. I didn't get to see a lot of the Type Power 2 conference, but I could hear it. And I'm still there's a documentary version of it coming out. Hopefully I could share a clip of it at the event in a week. Yeah, some beautiful interviews. And then when I was wrapping it up and putting it all together, Monica was like, "Hey, well, do you have a publisher?" And I was like, "No." So she introduced me. I went to Anak Publishing's. I'm pointing to Daisy up here. To Anak Publishing's booth and met Daisy D and Darlene, and then kept in touch. And then we started having these production conversations about how to lay this out and how this will play out. I couldn't have done this without Daisy D and Josa Manzanilla and Darlene. This was, it was such a collaborative project. If you're Filipinx and would like to get published, please contact Daisy D. There's a submission page.
Quick question, Jax. How many interviews are in the book?
There's 40.
Wow.
I interviewed 45 folks. I think I was also about consent in making sure that people could, made sure that they shared what they wanted and were comfortable with that. And then I'm learning in emergent strategy, and there were some oversights and learning. am always apologizing. But it's a beautiful book.
Can we
as
actually
well.
pause there for a second, right? Because we're doing this work that's never been done before, and we're gonna make mistakes, right? We're gonna make mistakes. And I'm always like, I'm so fine being corrected. Can we find ways to correct each other with kindness, right? Like, it's one thing to call out white supremacy. It's another thing when we do these kind of call outs in our community that could be so violent and harmful. But I do want to spend a little bit of time here, and I would love for Vero to jump in if she has any comments, because I was speaking to some of the participants of this book, and there is this huge piece about really being out, right? Like, there's no denying that you're out now after you've chosen and agreed and consented to be in this book. So I have also spoken to some youth who are like, so proud about this book, so proud to be in it, didn't show my family. You know what I mean? So like, I want to spend a little bit of time here of, right, the importance of representation, but also the importance of having the agency to tell your own story when you are ready to tell your own story in your own words. And then just the layer of what that looks like when you identify as Filipinx, as queer. And I know Laura always stays quiet in the background, but I think it's so, so important to hear from our queer Filipinx youth. So Veronica, Laura, if you have things to share, what was your reaction when you heard that there was a queer Filipinx Canadian book that had this representation of all our amazing kapwa?
Well, I was very, very excited to hear about this because, like, hey, there's a book about me. But then I'm like, wait, about me? Well, what am I? Like, it went through like that thought of like, wait. Am I a lesbian? Am I a queer? What does that mean? And there was all of this conversation, and in my head, I'm just like, just open the book and see all your other kapwa who's like out there, right? And thanks, Franz, for opening this conversation, because there are people there who we have our own kapwa who's like kind of in touch of who they are now, but only to themselves. Not they didn't feel comfortable handing this book over to their families and such. And this opens a conversation with my own family listening to the broadcast, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if you want to hear me. And here I'm more like proud and open about being queer and such, but with my family there's another type of like conversation that I'm yet to do. But just I had the same conversation when I tried to organize a lot of Filipino queers here in Montreal before the Montreal Pride was canceled. And the things that I've heard from our kapwa is that they're ready to go on and march and do the parade, but they're not ready to let their friends and family know about this. And I like the fact that I was able to provide them this type of space where they can feel who they are, even if it's like group chat, even if it's them like walking with me. And so I feel like Jax, the book, your book, I saw it 3 different times with 3 different people here in Montreal. And the first time I saw it, I just immediately grabbed it and like looking at it, I'm like, oh my God. Opening it, putting it, and then like they're breathing in and out. I'm like, yes, this is me. Every page is just like, that's my friend, that's my kapwa. And like, yeah, we're all like very different, but we're all queer. And it's also very important in my decolonization process. So there's a lot of feelings around it, and it completely resonates with your book, and it affirmed and recognized, and I don't know, just overall, it makes me feel like I'm not alone in this journey. And so with that, I want to say props to Jax and to all of the other couple behind you who made this happen, for all of the baby queers out there to like, oh, what's happening? Laura, you're like nodding.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. As a baby
you.
queer, it's kind of like that. I struggle with my own identity, but seeing others that look like me, but also are using language that because I'm not often around a queer community, but I do know I'm queer. And that like acceptance and just my identity as a whole, like seeing this book and reading the experiences and reading the poetry as well. Like there are a lot of things that I feel like the people around me wouldn't understand if I read this to them, but for me it makes me cry, you know what I mean? So I'm really happy that there's something like this that I can relate to, that I can see, that like there are pronouns, the pronoun part I've never been able to see exactly where I stand, but I saw when someone put sha, I was like, that is me. That is me. She, her, they, sha. You know what I mean? And I've never been able to see that until being around the people that were part of Pinay Power. So I'm really happy about this book, and I freaked out when I saw it. So thank you so much for putting that out there and giving us a safe space in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to add, as a decolonizing mama that's also in the process with France's mentorship, also it's like queering my life and my family and how I'm raising my daughter. And I'm so excited to get a copy of the book, and and the plan is that she will be at the event tomorrow. But really to just, I want her to see pictures, and so like to just see what life could look like. And if she grows up and she's queer, then she feels connected and she feels like, again, as a mother, I just want to expose her to everything. So thank you for giving me this opportunity and for sharing these stories. And thank you for everyone that shared their stories there, just making, the journey with my daughter and as a mother and as a tita and as an ate and as a friend, more beautiful for me. So thank you.
Yeah. So Jax, you heard our what we feel about your book and like the content behind it, but we want to hear from you. Like, how did it feel to like see the book for the first time?
Yeah, first, thank you so much for sharing those sentiments. And I felt the exact same way. To see the book in person, to feel the texture of it, the weight of it, meant so much because, yeah, like you, I've never seen anything that had our faces, our stories, our identities represented in such with, like, we were very intentional about making sure that we even had, the regions of where our parents are from. So, because I'd never, and like what languages, because there are languages I'd never even seen. We never talk about that. Like when I witness, friends from Treaty 7 introduce themselves, like they would always ask, like, where's your family from? And that's what I always ask. And some people, like, I know there's a difference when Filipinos ask that, because it's like, oh, you're trying to judge me whether I'm city folk or like provinciana, but I think there's deep value in knowing where you're from and seeing that other people are, oh, you're what I do, it's just wonderful to have that. And something similar to what you said, Veronica, about being able to share that space. Like I mailed a copy to my mom who lives in the States, and she flipped through it, and then she was like, through the queering Filipinx section with all the portraits and stories, and she was like, who are these people? And I'm like, they're queer Filipinx, Mom, like me. And she was like she'd never like we're supposed to keep that like secret. You're not supposed to tell people, like, marry a cishet man and do whatever you want. Like that's how you're supposed to do it. But and then also like I shared it with my uncle and my aunt in Moquitas, and then they were looking through it and they were like, why did you make this? And I was like, because we've never talked about my life, and this is the first time we're talking about it. Like having a space where it just happens to have something that represents, a bulk of my life, and I never get to talk about that with them. So that's a huge part of it. It means, and I've forgotten, I think with the pandemic, it's taken me away from community in many ways. And I'm so glad that now I get to meet you tomorrow, and see you and be in space, sharing space together. Like there's even, in the book, there's even space where people don't identify themselves, which is absolutely part of the experience of what identity is and the spectrum of it. Like we could say that it's like some folks are saying like they're allies, and some folks are saying like they're part of the LGBTQ2IS plus community, but at the same time, you don't have to identify. Like your experiences don't shape how you identify. It's how you feel. And, even being queer by politics is like what you're saying, Desiree, is absolutely part of where I feel safe.
Of course, me, the therapist, I'm going to have to bring it back to mental health, right? Like the importance of representation, the importance of seeing ourselves reflected in like the world we are moving through. But if I bring it back particularly to Filipina experience, like compulsory heteronormativity is so harmful. And it is so perpetuated, especially in our culture, right? We have our roots that are like so deeply ingrained into Catholicism. And while there's nothing wrong with that, and if our wonderful kababayan find healing and ease and peace in Catholicism and community, by all means, I encourage it. But I think we also, again, I always say this on every show, I'm like, we need to be truth tellers. We need to be truth tellers about what harm the church has done. The Pope is on his tour right now. I'm like, you ever going to go to the Philippines and return all the gold that you see in Vatican City? But particularly for this episode, compulsory heteronormativity is harming our communities. And if anything, is harming our women more, because we're told that to be in a relationship with a man is a struggle, that it's going to take work, that maybe it's going to take time before he figures out how to please you. Maybe it's going to take time before, and we're told to be patient with these images, visions, representations of patriarchy, but we don't have it on the flip side. So there are so many beautiful Pinay lesbians who have shared with me that, oh my goodness, to even say, oh, am I lesbian? Am I maybe lesbian? Or is this just the struggle of dating men? Is this just the struggle of dating men and we're trying to figure it out? So the mental health of the Filipino community, the queer community in challenging compulsory heteronormativity is my wish, that this book will spread, basically. So it was so amazing. I feel like we could talk all day. We are going to have to wrap it up. Tomorrow, Thursday, August 18th, starting at 5 p.m., we will be at the Baha'i Collective Space, 1825 Tupper. Come one, come all. Please register because spaces are limited. We do want to make sure we keep everyone safe. It is a mask recommended event, but we look forward to seeing you all there in person. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you to Jacqueline Aquines for being with us today.
So for community announcement, I would like to invite everyone who's listening to us right now at Radyo Kapwa, CKUT 90.3 FM, that we, Sant Kapwa, are hosting a Montreal book tour of Home is in the Body. Home is in the Body is a Filipinx queer event. It's going to be held with our partner, Baha'i Collective, at Tupper Street. So it's near Concordia Metro. It's in the downtown area. And we invite everyone to go and say hi to us. We're going to have so much of our Kapwa coming in, the Ka Collective. We're going to have performances. We have our own Laura. We have our Tamara Grace. We have Rico Love. So you don't know who Rico Love is? You should come and see us. The Eventbrite is going to be in our social media. So please, please, please do register. It's going to be held at August 18 from 5 p.m. onwards. So we invite you all to come in and say hi to us. Mabuhay.
Liberation for one is liberation for all. Tuloy ang laban.